I told you that more than 90% of the choices that you are making right now are not your true self's choices? And what if I told you that that is what's blocking you from achieving anything that you want in life? Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Full Body Yes podcast. Get ready for an episode that, to be honest, I wasn't planning on recording today. I had a completely different plan, but this topic that we're talking about today came through so many times over the last week that I just knew that this is something that the people in my field need to be hearing right now. So let me just start with a little story. We are now, as I'm recording this, it is November 2025. And last night, actually, I remembered a Zoom call that I was in a year ago. It was November 2024. Back then, I was still very much an online fitness coach, and I was part of a mindset membership, you would say, for online health and fitness coaches. We were taught how to coach our own clients on mindset, which has helped me a lot and still helps me nowadays with clients. And also, we had a lot of calls about our own mindset. And I remember coming on that call and at one point just having a breakdown. It was a relatively intimate call. There weren't many people on that specific call. And I remember saying, I just hate myself. I cannot bear the thought of talking about weight loss or talking about abs any longer. And that came a day after I posted a reel where I talk about the right or wrong ways of getting abs. And I just loathed myself for posting that reel. And that's not because like it's toxic or whatever. Like it's not because, like the whole love your body as it is type thing. It was simply because, honestly, I couldn't give a flying fuck about abs or about weight loss. The truth is, I never did. Yes, I lost quite a bit of weight when I was postpartum and when I was a fitness coach. And that was mainly because I was honestly just committed to the job and because I literally found myself, and we'll talk about that, found myself being an online fitness coach. I am a very committed, very devoted person. I just knew that I had to look the part. And I am a person who, once they do something, they go all in. So I did what it took, lost a bunch of weight, felt good, not gonna lie. I did feel good, and I'm still able to maintain that, like a lot of it. But everything was happening and I did everything from the wrong reasons completely. So for those of you who don't know, I actually started my own business nearly 3 years ago, and it actually started as an online health coaching business. So I had my son 3 years and 4 months ago, as I am recording this, had a pretty bad postnatal depression, had a very, very tough pregnancy, birth, postpartum experience. And mentally and emotionally, mainly, I had no support. And that led me to realizing that I want to support other women who might be in the same place, in the same stage. Now, that was right for that time. And if it wasn't for all the programming that I'll be talking to you about soon, I'm sure I would have found what I'm doing now so much faster, because that was that first spark off. I want to start my own business to help other people fulfill the potential, feel better. So what happened was, stupid me started a diploma in naturopathic health coaching when I was 3 months postpartum. And that was like a full-on diploma, like 1 year diploma that I did while doing my PhD. So I got back to doing my PhD when I was 6 months postpartum. And I was also working as a lecturer in university. I was lecturing on a master's degree, which I got back to when I was 4 months postpartum. So I put a lot on my plate, like no wonder why that first year was so tough. But of course, everything led me to where I am now. And I am so, so grateful for that. But yeah, I would say around I think when my son was about 8 months, that's when I decided to fully start the business, and I signed up for a business mentorship. Again, I am a person who believes in investing in yourself in the right context and the right environment. Signed up for a pretty pricey business mentorship for online health and fitness coaches, and that led me to a very unfortunate sequence of events for about 2 years of completely getting off my path, of the reason that I even started the business, and of my mission. Because what I didn't realize when I signed up for that business mentorship is that I would be pushed heavily into selling weight loss. Now, that was one out of three business mentorships that I was in for fitness coaching. Yes, for the whole 2 years, I was always with one mentor or another. And it actually went and got more and more toxic. Like that original mentorship was not nearly as toxic as the second one, but that's a story for a different day. But essentially, what happened when I worked with all these mentors, with these business coaches, was I was just piling layers onto who I was and what I was here to do. You get taught, if you're in business, like most of you are who are listening to this podcast episode, you will know that you get taught to sell people what they want, to give them what they need. And there is a truth to that. However, there are also so many caveats. But somehow I got sucked into selling weight loss, selling abs, selling look hot, selling do a photo shoot in a gym looking sexy. And not only that, I somehow got to a point with my third business coach where I was talking about how it's better to eat Oreos than eating apple with peanut butter because an Oreo is lower in calories. Of course, I did not believe in any of that. I came from the world of naturopathic health coaching, of natural health, of spirituality and health, and I got veered off track so much that I got to a point where, on a call 1 year ago, I was just venting to a room of fitness coaches that probably were like, why is she in this role if she like hates all of it? And they were right, I'm sure. Finally, I just found myself venting about not wanting to talk about abs anymore, not wanting to talk about weight loss anymore. This is not why I signed up for this. And that was really the catalyst for the past year that I have had. That was when, I'm pretty sure that day I went and deleted all of my reels that talk about abs. And of course, it was a process after that. It's not like I changed to my current business the day later. I think it was actually only in April when I fully let go of the old business, archived all of my old content, and announced to the world and Instagram that I am not doing fitness coaching anymore. And right now I am a mindset, self-development, manifestation coach and an intuitive reader, helping people, especially entrepreneur, find their path, become sovereign of their life, understand how to navigate life in the way that source would want them to, right? But it was a process. And some days, some weeks, I felt like I was high on life. I felt like things were working perfectly. I felt so clear. Like I'll never forget launching my Manifestation Accelerator group program back in May. Now, that was, I'm pretty sure, 2 weeks after I officially shifted my business. I worked with a mentor for a week back then who pushed me to do that. And I'm so grateful because, yeah, if I was for myself, I would be like, there's no way I'm launching a whole group program. Like, people don't even know, like, people on my page don't even know I'm a manifestation coach yet, or like that I believe in that I have been researching, studying, embodying this for so many years. Because another thing, I never talked about any of that when I was a fitness coach. I was told that I need to only talk about health and fitness, weight loss, abs, glutes, all of those things that I couldn't care less about. So I hid my spiritual side. I hid my intuitive abilities. I hid the fact that I believed in the unseen, right? In the world beyond, which probably also made it so weird to a lot of my followers and also my clients. I still had fitness clients at the time, and I'm pretty sure they thought I was crazy, but that's a different story. But yes, anyway, with my Manifestation Accelerator group program, I launched it, and within a few hours, 2 people had bought the program. And I was shocked. One of them, bear in mind, one of them I never even knew, never even spoke to. The other person is someone that I know, kind of is a friend of friends. But again, she was a brand new client, had never bought anything from me before. I remember feeling high on life, like not even believing it, that 2 people who Again, one of them I didn't even know, the other one I barely knew, trusted me enough to purchase a whole program from me and to give them an intuitive read, which they got as a bonus. But then some weeks and some months, I felt so lost, so lost. I had no idea what I was doing. I was wondering and worried whether I was doing the right thing, which I knew the whole time. I knew I was doing the right thing. But sometimes you ask yourself, well, what the heck am I doing? Like, is this real? Is this real? Is this going to work? So many weeks and months when I was like, what are my next steps? How am I supposed to make money in this world? Like, what do I need to study next? Or what skills do I need to develop? Like, when you start a soul business like I did, it's not the kind of place, it's not the kind of thing where you can go into a mentorship where they teach you a whole formula from A to Z, which is what happened when I was a fitness coach. As a fitness coach, if some of you listen to this are or have been in the past, you will know that there are so many business mentorships for online health and fitness coaches, and they will take you through a whole formula, a whole process of how to get leads, how to get clients, what to say on sales calls, what your program needs to include. But when you start something like a really deep soul business that comes from your soul, right? Something that no one else has ever done, which, by the way, what we're talking about today, which is connecting to your core self, that is when you do this really deep work, that is when you can create something of your own that no one has ever done before. And that is, by the way, the purpose of all of our souls. Even those who are not meant to be entrepreneurs, they are still meant to express themselves in their jobs in ways that no one has ever done before. The problem is we are so programmed by other people, by mentors, by coaches, by our parents, by people around us, that most people in the world have completely lost touch and lost contact with their core selves. So that was my last year. And then came September, which was a very, very difficult month for me, both personally. So the people here on the podcast, I trust you. I'm going to reveal stuff that I don't reveal on, on Instagram or even tell my friends, family, community. I had very serious issues with my husband. I wasn't even sure we were going to stay together. I was struggling with my son massively, which is still kind of going on, but it was worse back then. I was traveling to Israel to visit my family, to visit my father, who was still in hospital since January, actually. And I was just feeling so confused, didn't know what my future was going to look like. In business, September, I'm pretty sure I made almost $0 in September, which was the lowest cash month I've had since starting the business and since getting my first client. And everything just felt dark. Again, I knew I was on the right path. I had been practicing intuition and refining my intuition with mentors since March. So I knew intuitively that I was on the right path, that what I was doing was right. But it's almost like there was like a cloud all over me, all over my vision. Just I couldn't see what to do next. I couldn't see in business what was coming, and mainly in my personal life. And I'm sure you will know, when your personal life feels chaotic and uncertain, it is so difficult to show up for your business and to have that clarity in business as well. And what happened then was I decided to enter a 40-day vortex, which I've talked about a lot over the last few weeks because it has honestly changed my life. This is something that I actually did years ago. I did it twice before, years and years ago, before I even started my PhD, which now I finished a few months ago. And the reason I started it was actually, I heard this kind of like rumor that if you say a psalm called the Song of Songs, which is essentially a love song, if you say it every day for 40 days, miracles happen. Now, I'm not a super religious person. I do come from a religious background. However, having researched, having explored the, spirituality over the last few years, having intuition, I do know that all religions nowadays have so much programming to them, so much control, so many dark force issues that have been added to really control the masses, that I am not a super religious person. However, I am a very spiritual person. I believe in frequency. I believe in spirituality. And I know that specifically the Song of Songs is a love song that is very, very high in frequency. It's a very ancient one. I'm pretty sure King Solomon wrote it, and it is very, very high in frequency. So years ago, I decided to read that song every single day for 40 days. And both times that I did it back then, I don't even remember what happened because it was so long ago, but I remembered that by the end of the 40 days, every single time, like literal miracles happened. My life changed. Everything that I was trying to manifest just came through so easily. And I don't know what happened suddenly in October. But I'm pretty sure, again, after all of that hardship back in September, suddenly, intuitively, I got the download off. Do you remember when you did those 2 40-day vortexes years ago? It's time to do that again. However, the second download that I got in regards to that was you need to take it to the next level. No more just saying Song of Songs every day, which I still did. You need to take it to the next level, and you need to do it according to the creation principles of Kabbalah, which Kabbalah, as we talked about last week, is the ancient wisdom. I think it's the most ancient wisdom, and it is rooted in Jewish mysticism. It is not religious. A lot of people who are not religious and not Jewish study it, follow it. As I said last week, Madonna is probably one of the most famous people who preach Kabbalah to people. And I, again, having grown up as a relatively religious Jew, I knew a lot of those principles, but I knew them more from a religious perspective rather than the Kabbalistic spiritual perspective. Well, as I said, I am a person who goes all in when they decide to do something. And I dived deep into Kabbalah and all of those concepts that I already knew from my upbringing, from different spiritual teachings. Everything just came together in a way that made perfect sense. Now, as I talked about last week, in Kabbalah, we believe that all potentials exist for us, right? And this is true for quantum physics as well. And this is why I love this intersection between science and between ancient wisdom and spirituality, because they do intersect and they do verify each other. And I come from both worlds, right? I come from the research academic world and also the spiritual world, and I can really see how they intersect. And both say that everything is available to us, everything exists as potential around us, but we need to learn how to make that potential, bring that energy into physical reality. And that's really what manifestation is. So I took myself through a 40-day vortex starting October, where I said the Song of Songs every day, which is a song that is proven to raise your frequency to the frequency of love, which is the frequency that turns thought into matter, that turns energy into physical manifestation. And we dedicated a whole podcast episode to this a couple weeks ago, so make sure to go back and listen. And in addition to that, I went through the 10 emanations, essentially the 10 stages of creation according to Kabbalah and other ancient wisdoms. And I made sure to go step by step and clear my energy at every single step to make sure that the energy could flow easily from thought to matter. And these 40 days have been beautiful. Again, I talked about them so much. I kind of feel bad mentioning it again, but just in case some of you are listening to this for the first time, October was my highest cash month in this new business and my second highest cash month ever. I was gifted 2 sessions by mentors I adore, sessions worth thousands of dollars. I was just gifted for free without asking for it, without entering any giveaways. I had new clients finding me. I had new people booking sessions. My visibility on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok just soared after months of kind of staying at around the same numbers. On Instagram, suddenly my content was being exposed to a lot more people. My story views went up by, God, I don't know, probably times 5 or so. I got new followers coming in the door every day without running ads, without being a guest on like a famous podcast or anything like that. Something in my energy shifted. And that is because I rooted to the frequency of love every single day, which, as I said, is something that we talked about on a podcast episode a few weeks ago. And do you know what happens when you root in the frequency of love? which, as we said back then, that means seeing everything as perfect. Seeing everything as perfect means seeing the positives and negatives in everything, seeing the equal amounts of positives and negatives in everything. That means that you can slowly peel the layers off of who you are not, and you are suddenly, well, not suddenly, you are gradually discovering your core self. So the biggest gift of rooting into the frequency of love, of doing that every single day, committing to that every single day, as well as developing your intuition, which also happens when you root in the frequency of love. Of course, intuition is such a massive topic, and it's a skill. So I always recommend also developing it intentionally. But entering this 40-day vortex, for me, it crystallized it, and it will for you as well. So it is about stripping away the person you have been programmed to be by people around you, by mentors, by coaches, by parents, by teachers, whatever that is, and getting back to who your soul genuinely and truly is. And by the end of these 40 days, which ended last week, I can tell you that I am so clear on my mission, so clear on what I'm here to do. And even if I can't see what's going to happen a year from now, I am not even worried about that, because I can see how everything is unfolding perfectly for me, because I am more and more connected to my core self. Now, what does it mean to be disconnected from your core self? This means that the things that you do that you think you like, you actually probably don't like. You've probably just been programmed to like these things, and your soul is not actually getting fulfillment, like true fulfillment from those things. The blocks you have in business, in finances, in relationships are, you are not meant to have them. It is just because you are disconnected from your soul self and your core self. When you're connected to your core self, relationships end up becoming so much more true for you. Your soul path in your business and finances and career, in social life, everything just becomes clear, because all of the programming that you've been told over the years is just being stripped away. Now, this goes back to childhood, right? When your parents told you what you should or shouldn't do. Like, for example, when you were told you have to be polite or you can't be too loud. Well, that took you off your soul path, because maybe you were actually meant to be a public speaker. But how can you be a public speaker, which is what your soul wants you to do, if you've always been told that you have to be quiet? Do you see how that just doesn't make sense? Now, as I told you with my story, I built this whole persona of this person who helps women lose weight and get abs, because I was programmed by all of these mentors and coaches who told me that that's what you need to do to be successful. But again, most of it goes back to childhood, to what you heard from your teachers, from your parents, from your siblings, from your grandparents. Now, I want you to understand that if you do anything in this lifetime, getting to the truest form of who your soul self is, who your core self is, that is where all of the rewards are. That is where the real enjoyment is, the real power is, the real knowing is, because then you know so purely and so clearly what you want in life and what you don't want in life. And I can just tell you that all of the clients who come to me for sessions, for intuitive reads, for one-on-one work, there's always one thing in common for all of them, and that is a lack of clarity. A lack of clarity on whether they are in the right place, whether they are doing the right thing, or a lack of clarity or on where they need to go, what their next steps are. And when you strip off all of these layers, that is when it all becomes just so crystal clear. And that is when answering questions like, do I really like this thing that I think I like? Do I really feel like university or getting this degree is the best thing for me? Is this program the best thing for me? Is taking this next step in business the best thing for me? Is making this investment the best thing for me? Should I take this risk there? Am I afraid to take risks? What would my soul self want? Answering all of these questions becomes so easy and so clear once you are connected to your core self. Now, I want you to understand that the ultimate indicator of change and progress in life is that month to month, year to year, you can tell the difference in how connected you are to your core self. And how do you measure that? Both by clarity, as we just talked about, and also in how much you care what other people think and say about you. When you truly stop caring, that is when you know you are more and more connected to your core self, because that is when you make decisions from your core self and not from programming from other people. When that happens, it is because you know your light. You know that all that you need is within you. The power to create and to manifest is within you. You are source. You are co-creating with source, and you have that ability to create anything. So it doesn't even matter what people are saying about you. Now, according to Kabbalah, this entity, which some people call God, some people call source, some people call the universe, whatever that is, according to Kabbalah, that thing is actually called Ein Sof, which means limitless. Now, we know that we are part of Source. We are part of the Creator, and therefore we are limitless as well. We have the power to create anything. As I said before, everything that we want exists for us in potential. The universe wants us to have anything that we want. But the blessings from the universe are only able to happen to us, to come to us, to the degree that we diminish that external programming, to the degree that we are connected to who we truly are, to our core selves. When you know who you truly are, career becomes easy. You know what you truly like. You end up walking the right path, the path that your soul wants you to walk without a problem. You know how to react in situations with your partner, your spouse, your children, your family, your clients, and how to create relationships that last, how to create an unbreakable reputation. And likely the choices and decisions that you are making right now are not the ones that your soul self would want you to choose. They are not good quality choices and decisions. And the more connected you are to your core self, to your soul, to your powers and to your intuition, the better quality these decisions will become and the better life will become. This is ultimately the goal in life. Stripping away all of that programming, all of these beliefs that we were taught to believe about ourselves and about the world, and becoming our true selves. And there is so much more to say about this. I could literally create a whole program. I could probably just create a whole podcast just talking about this topic, and you don't have to figure it out alone. There are several ways that I could help you with this in my business. So first of all, I have officially launched my 40-day experience to root in the frequency of love and let the universe surprise you, called God's Favorite. This is a program that I have been hinting at for a few weeks now, and it is now officially open for enrollment. So if you are listening to this in real time, we are starting December 1st, but we have some early bird pricing and bonuses for those of you who sign up before the 24th of November. So one bonus is you are getting my exclusive Effortless Era Subliminal, which you can start listening to as soon as you sign up, which is going to prime your subconscious and prime your energetic field to be in that effortless receiving, ready for all the gifts to come in state. So I recommend listening to it every day. And then of course you'll also have that throughout the 40 days, which will really help you just upgrade the work even more. So what we do throughout the 40 days is I take you through the same process that I took myself. We are deciding on a practice for you, a heart opening practice that you will be doing every day. You will be able to choose out of a few practices that I have channeled for you especially. And I am also taking you through the 10 stages of creation, of Kabbalistic creation, essentially taking you from intention, which is potential, all the way to physical manifestation. And this will include a daily audio transmission where I talk to you about the stage that we're at every single day, what to do. This includes some prompts to either journal about or just think about, reflect on. And this will include one physical action to take every day. So these are 40 days of true devotion to this energetic progress, to upgrading your frequency. And it does take work, okay? It does mean you will have to be fully devoted to the work every single day for 40 days. But as we talked about in last week's episode, when you do that for 40 days, you don't need to do it forever. 40 days is enough to upgrade your frequency for good. So if you are serious about upgrading your life, about connecting to your core self, stripping away everything that is not love, and being open and receptive to everything just coming to you, right? Because when you are connected to your core self, clarity is unmatched. Love from the universe is unmatched, because when you are your soul self, that's when the universe wants to give you more. As we said, the blessings from the universe can only come to the degree that you are connected to your core self, that you understand your powers, you understand that you are limitless. And that is a lot of the work that we do inside of these 40 days. So make sure, if you are listening to this in real time, to sign up before the 24th to get the Effortless Year Subliminal. There's also another one-on-one bonus that you get when you sign up before then. You can unlock that, but I'm keeping that a secret. That is something that you only get, and you'll only find out what it is when you sign up. There are also 2 VIP options to work with me inside of the 40-day vortex. So one of them is the tier 1, which is unlocking the 40 days, and also 2 sessions with me throughout the 40 days to really deepen the work. And there is early pricing for that as well, ending on the 24th of November. And that is pretty heavily discounted compared to how much one session with me is valued at and costs. So I would definitely recommend you check it out. And for those who are really ready to go all in, you can go to VIP tier 2, which includes the 40-day vortex, includes 2 90-minute sessions with me, and also includes daily private messaging access to me Mondays to Thursdays, where I am in your back pocket, where I keep you accountable not only to the 40-day vortex, but also to everything that we talked about in the sessions. Now, the sessions are a mix of working on your energy, working on your subconscious mind and identity, and also mapping out your actions, your aligned actions. You will know that I am very spiritual, and I believe that there is nothing more spiritual than doing the freaking work. And with my clients, most of whom are business owners and entrepreneurs, a lot of the work that we do, once we map out the energetic work that they need to do, the identity that they need to root into, and of course I channel very specific tools for them, we work together. We also map out their actions, their content, how to write content that truly represents who they are and the soul pole that they're on, how to get more visible and in front of more eyes. And when you sign up for tier 2, which again is heavily discounted for this week only, you also get me in your back pocket every single day for mentoring, for guidance, for keeping you accountable, and for giving you intuitive answers literally every day. Like, this alone is worth like 10 grand. Like, getting intuitive answers from your soul and your higher self while you're going through this vortex is unmatched, because when you are in the vortex, your frequency is so high that your soul is just screaming what it wants you to do. You collapse timelines so quickly. And when you have the support from someone who has trained their intuition for so long, who really knows how to communicate with your higher self, with your soul self, and channel the exact right steps and right decisions for you, you are invincible. You finish these 40 days a different person with a different life. And if you are listening to this podcast at any time in the future, I plan for God's favor to always be available for purchase for anyone who wants to take themselves through this 40-day vortex. So check out my website, check out the link in the show notes to access it. However, the price that it is priced at right now, which is $88, probably will not stay for very long. Another way that you can work with me to really refine who you are, understand what decisions you should make, what steps you should take according to your core soul self and not your human self, which is so heavily programmed, who more than 90% of their choices and decisions are not their own. You can also book an intuitive read with me or a one-on-one session where I take you through the magic. I read you intuitively. I give you all of the answers. And when it comes to a one-on-one session, we also do energy work, soul contract work, subconscious rewiring work, and so much more. So again, check out the links in the show notes. And I will be so glad to help you step on your soul pull, on your soul path, peeling off all of those layers to really find out what your soul is here to do. And in turn, make your life so much easier, make everything flow so much more smoothly for you. So this is it for today, my loves. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. As always, if you can, rate this podcast at hopefully 5 stars. This will help us reach more people, which of course supports the podcast so much. As you know, I bring all of my knowledge to this podcast every single week. So I'd really appreciate if you can take a few seconds of your time to rate, or if you're watching this on YouTube, if you could just like, subscribe, maybe share it with a friend, share it on your Instagram story and tag me. I will appreciate that so much. And of course, as always, I love hearing your insights and your takeaways from the podcast episodes. So whether you're listening to this in real time or 5 years in the future, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I always love hearing what you take away from these podcast episodes. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope to be able to guide you inside of God's favorite, the 40-day experience. Love you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.